It's another absolutely insane day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has just decided to switch to doing one standard banning a year. This game is about to get a lot worse.
Magic.
I am a wizard!
History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a crazy installment of Mega Magic News. Wizards of the Coast has absolutely lost their mind. This is the most brain damaged nonsense that I've heard of, well, since the last brain damaged nonsense. They're honestly on a complete tear. So, you may recall that Wizards of the Coast recently made the announcement out of nowhere saying, yo, Standard is going to be a 3-year rotating format instead of a 2-year rotating format. And I said at the time that they really didn't have any plans underlying it, and they basically reiterated that point themselves when they were interviewed going, so what's the ban philosophy going to be? They had no answer. So I want you to understand before we even launch into talking about this part of it, that Wizards of the Coast went into panic mode and went, okay, what are we going to do about Standard? Okay, let's extend it out to 3 years. Let's try and keep people on the hook for another year with the cards they have while we scramble and try and figure out what to do. That's absolutely what's going on. Wizards is freaking out. They know Standard is a dead dog, and they're over there with the air pump trying to inflate it, going, look, it's alive, but it's totally laying there, right? And they're like, oh, this dead dog is now, it's 3 years, take it for a walk, we're having a great time. So they're sitting there over at their great company going, how do we fix Standard? Well, you know what? There's a lot of problems with card design, but it costs money to fix that kind of stuff. What costs like no money? Well, what if we did less work? You know how we were doing like emergency ban-ins and kind of curating the format at least somewhat now and again when things got too out of control, we'd leap in. Well, what if we just cut it down to once a year, bro? What if we just do one banning a year and then that'll be the official banning and we'll tie it into rotation? And it's like, so let me get this straight. At the same time that sets are going to rotate out, that's when you're going to ban cards when the rotation was a natural shakeup. Just having sets rotated out of the format automatically changed the format. It's an insane way to do things. So you layer on the other step where they go, okay, we're not doing emergency bannings. Now we're going to do a 3-week window after a set comes out. So anytime a new standard set comes out, they're going to give themselves a 3-week window to tinker around and ban and unban things. Although, how often do we see unbannings, right? And bannings, we only get those when we've reached a critical power threshold where it's warping the meta so much that, or actually usually what happens is Wizards waits until all the stuff is sold. You have to have a situation like Oko where he's basically punching the environment over and over in the face and Wizards has to go, oh, okay, look, we haven't sold all the Throne of Eldraine, but we've got to do something about this Oko situation. So there we're already hesitant to do anything. And now they've looked at everything that's going on. They came out and said, yo, Standard's not doing well. Why do you guys think people aren't playing physical Standard? And it's like, I don't know. Maybe because you undercut it horrifically by creating Arena. And they're just like, oh, okay, all right, under Arena, driving everybody under Arena. What else? And it's like, well, the card quality is garbage, so why would I want to spend my money on the cards? Okay, card quality's not good. You do terrible card design, and you don't spend any time on the design, and then you wait a million years to ban cards until you've sold them all. Oh, okay, all right. Like basically, you're so crazy focused on Commander that you don't even care about Standard anymore. And it's like, got it. You want a longer Standard. Are you going to balance things? No, more of the same. And it's like, what? And it's like, well, how do you plan to keep this longer, like, format balanced? Well, what we'll do is we'll do less frequent bannings. And it's like, Say what now? Well, with the emergency banning scenario, we had it set up where like people would go, hey, something might not get, this might get banned. Maybe I won't want to buy these cards. And we figure, hey, if we're not going to do banning, you'll want to buy cards. And it's like, bro, what about the fact that nobody's going to want to play in these environments? How are you forgetting lessons that you've learned in the past? Untended environments turn to garbage. That's how it works. And the 3-week window is totally, to me, just an excuse of going, well, you know what? If we didn't catch it right away, too bad for your luck there. You got a situation where now you got to wait a couple more months until the next set comes out. Or is this some sort of like precursor to, we saw Aftermath? Are they going to release standard sets so frequently that it's like, don't worry about it, because 3 weeks after a standard set goes like this. 3 weeks after a standard set, 1 week, next standard set. So we're going to put out a set every month. So we'll actually have more frequent, like all of the insane signaling is just meant to be like, yo, Standard's a longer, more stable format. And it's like none of this addresses the biggest problem with what's going on. Guys, you have to understand that I am Granddaddy Magic. I have been around since the beginning, since the early 90s, right? The game started in 93. I showed up in 94. You got Magic the Gathering. I've been part of that gathering for decades. I started before there was a standard format. What they originally called it, Type 2. I was thinking about that. Now it's more like Type 2 diabetes, because this stuff, it's basically, it's almost terminal level with the choices Wizards is making, specifically for standard. Like originally when they came up with the concept, the idea was, whoa, there's a bunch of super powerful old school cards in Magic the Gathering, and when people get into this game, that's a big barrier to deal with. You don't have the cards, you might not be able to get them, they're super powerful, the format's insanely fast, all of this stuff. So they said standard, here you go. Here's a format that has more limitations. Here's something where you can get the new stuff and you can roll in the door. And there was some grumbling at first because it was like, oh, what is this? We can't use our cards. Nobody likes that. So there was a little pushback against standard at first, right? But over time, standard became, in fact, the gold standard for Magic. It was how everything was essentially like grown through it. The way I like to look at it is Wizards used to have a very organic way of growing the game. And their philosophy went like this. If we work on standard, if we get standard right, everything grows from there. They didn't pay attention to try and make cards that would go into modern. They didn't try and make cards that would hit legacy. All they tried to do was create a balanced standard experience where you could create standard decks, have a fun draft environment. Like it was very, very focused on that. And they did make mistakes here and there, but that was fine. And what happened is Commander players, modern players, legacy players would pick and choose occasional things like a buffet from these different standard offerings. But standard would always be there. That was what would happen. You would walk down to the game store and you'd be like, what's going on? We're playing standard. Is it Friday Night Magic? Doesn't matter where you are in the world. Walk into a Magic game shop. We're playing Friday Night Magic. It's standard. There's a uniformity there. It's almost like the same concept as a fast food restaurant. It's comfortable. You know what it is. You're going in. You're going to have the same experience. It's to ramp everybody on board. And it is a pretty simple way to get into the game. Standard is an expensive experience though, right? So there is that bit of a drawback. But when you bring in the community and everything you get from it, it was succeeding. Wizards is going to blow your mind. But you know how you have to buy secret layers from them now and they'll send you like 4 special cards for $80 and a smack in your mama's mouth? Well, back in the day, they'd go, yo, come on out and play in the events. We'll give you a special little membership card. And after you're playing a number of events, we're just going to send you player rewards. Thanks for being a Magic player. Here's a special textless cryptic command. Like good, desirable Magic cards that were just, yo, here's a reward for playing Magic. But slowly and surely, Wizards went, how do we extract more from this? How do we extract more from this? And standard was the organic way to grow Magic. The secondary market grew through it. As long as standard was doing all right, everything else was doing all right. But then Wizards did their marketing research and they went, well, wait, no, everybody plays Commander. Commander's the thing. So you know what? The front door that we had built around standard, change that. That front door is now all about Commander. And I've got to say, it worked. Wizards of the Coast, you got what you wanted. You wanted people to focus more on Commander. Guess what? When I went to the game store before, it used to be Friday night standard, Saturday standard, Sunday standard. When I go now, it's Friday Night Commander. Saturday, nothing. Sunday, Commander. Congratulations. You ruined your own format by starving it out. When you go, any new player who goes down and goes, hey, here's your new standard product. Oh, cool. What's this? Call time or whatever? What products do you have to go with it? Do you have any standard decks that I can buy? Oh no, if you wanna play standard, you have to build it from scratch in the most expensive way possible. What's the other vector? Oh hey, did you come from Arena? Well, check out this super expensive version of the game that you know, where you can pay a ton of money for these game pieces that you know aren't even gonna matter for very long, because all of a sudden you're gonna need all this other stuff. Like, Magic on paper, especially for standard, is a bum deal overall now by comparison, because Wizards doesn't support it. You go into the game store, there are commander decks to go with every standard release. 2 or 3. That's part of the reason they're extending it out for 3 years as well, so they can sell all these commander products and crap. They made so much of it, and they go, but you guys, everybody likes commander. Why aren't you, look man, when you focus on commander, all of a sudden you're focused on playing 4-player flippity bip. Oh, Billy, you bumped my car yesterday, so I'm going to make you pay in this game. And you got to deal with idiots blowing up your Magistrate Scepter, or not your Magistrate Scepter, not destroying your opponent's Magistrate Scepter, and destroying your man. Like, Commander is not normal Magic. Normal Magic is you and me trying to take each other down. So you're designing for Standard, but Wizards wants their products now for Standard when Fire Design changed everything. That's what really started this crazy, let's nosedive at hardcore, where they said standard isn't about standard anymore. Standard is something we'll sell to idiots who are playing the standard format because they're too stupid to realize we don't care about it. But what it really is seed it with fat commander cards. Make crazy like stuff that'll hit legacy. We're going to also try and get in there with the modern direct sets, but we're going to put cards in here that are also meant to hit modern. Like, they're swinging such power levels. The idea before was they never wanted to print cards in standard that were so powerful that they would immediately see play in these older formats, because that would be disruptive to standard. They actively avoided the type of cards that they now actively design. When we started talking about Fire Design years ago, I told you guys it was a big problem. And it blew my mind when I took a step back and realized that back then, when we were talking about cards, I did videos just on individual cards like Fires of Invention, going, guys, this is the kind of design that leads to exact bans. I pointed out different cards and went, this one's going to get banned, this one's going to get banned. And that's exactly what's happened. The situation has exacerbated to the point where Wizards isn't changing the Fire Design. They're still making insane nonsense that they want to push out everywhere. They're just going, well, we've slightly tweaked the amount of time and the ban format without addressing the fundamental problems. When you make cards that are too powerful for standard, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what level of hand you're going to take with the bannings. You have to go turbo banning to keep it in check. But now you're going 3 years. You're going to keep throwing insanity onto the fire. This is a last second, we're bleeding out standard players. How do we keep them? Well, they said they don't like that, the arena thing. It's like, well, then make it 3 years. Check it out. Arenas are 2-year format. So now there's not even a parity between those standards. And it's like, well, you can't solve this one because it's not the same. And check it out. We got a different environment. And it's like, do you though? They're just spewing out a bunch of nonsense going like, remember the block days where if you had in the first set, you'd have these mechanics? Well, in the first year, if we had the mechanics, we could return and revisit it in the third year. But it's just a bunch of made up stuff on the spot, off the top of their head. Like, they literally just said, we got to make it a 3-year standard. And then they just went, okay, how do we come up with a ban philosophy that tricks people into thinking that we're actually managing the format? But they're not. We're past the days where it was the good, normal, plant the trees, let them grow up. That was standard. You plant your trees. If they're good enough, hey, they make it out in other formats, secondary market grows. But then Wizards got a taste for the secondary market, and they want to buy, they want you to buy from them direct. So now that they can sell singles through the secondary market, they're milking it at light speed, and they have to find other ways to bump up the market. So they have to create new levels of craziness to shift booster packs. They need new cards to enter modern, so you'll chase stuff like Ragavan, but it has to be everywhere. And what Wizards has completely seemed to have missed is that one of the reasons Commander is such a big format is because Commander, like every product that's made, is and always has been for Commander players. They pick and choose what they want, and you can't make bank trying to sell boxes to Commander players. You can't glut command, like the standard players are the ones who will buy crazy amounts of stuff. They're literally trying to turn they're trying to turn Commander players into standard level consumers, and it's a complete disconnect that sacrifices the entryway that was what was used to build the game for the first 25 years. And ever since they've abandoned it for Fire Design and gone this road, we have seen an increasing just decline of the game. It's absolutely insane. I have so much to say on the subject that I feel like I'm just gonna rant and rave. So what I'm actually gonna do is a live stream tonight where I rant and rave. And fair warning, I'm actually gonna put some stuff that people said about the last stream up on the screen to give you guys an idea. Do not bring your children. Your computer will melt from the language I'm going to be using, all right? Because I am incredibly frustrated watching Wizards destroy the game I love for no reason. It's like they have the golden goose that lays the golden egg, and then they're choking the goose out to try to crap out all the eggs. And then when the eggs come out, they're smacking the eggs with the goose's body. What was even the point? What are you doing? Anyways, okay, rant mode's already engaging. I will see you all over at the live stream. Big shout out to my patrons. You guys rule. See you all over at the stream.